What's going on, Crimson Tide fans? Chris Daughtry here with the Alabama Football Report. Last night, the Crimson Tide had 4 former players play in and win the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts, DeVonta Smith, Landon Dickerson, and Tyler Steen all played in the Super Bowl last night. So congratulate them right now in the comment section by spamming those RTRs. As we just mentioned a second ago, Alabama had really technically 7 former players ended up getting Super Bowl rings last night. But these 4 guys right here, Jalen Hurts, DeVonta Smith, Landon Dickerson, and Tyler Steen all got playing time in the Eagles' victory over the Kansas City Chiefs last night. Man, Jalen Hurts played absolutely phenomenal in a season that, after last season really had to, come back and bounce back. They added Saquon Barkley, and man, Jalen Hurts last night just really proving all the doubters wrong. If you want to talk about somebody that Lank actually, applies to, it's Jalen Hurts now. After last season, he went to the Super Bowl a couple seasons before. And, man, I am just so happy for this kid. Over 200 yards passing, pretty solid on the ground as well. Did have that, one interception, but man, just overall, Jalen Hurts played absolutely phenomenal. And really, with the Chiefs, doing a great job limiting Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts really did become the key in that game. DeVonta Smith also had an incredible touchdown catch. You see on the, photo in the background right there, I think it was like 40-something yards. To the house for DeVonta Smith. Had 69 yards in the game, so you guys can spam your nice in the comments section for that as well. And man, if you just remember back, looking back to, DeVonta Smith in his time at Alabama, one of the main catches, the first time that I really remember DeVonta Smith really popping off was that game against Mississippi State. Jalen Hurts was the quarterback that year as well. They had to go down at the end of the game with like a minute or something like that, minute 15 seconds left. DeVonta Smith, his second touchdown of his career. That one was a game winner against Mississippi State. And then everybody remembers 2nd and 26, right? You had Tua come in for that game, took the sack, and then DeVonta Smith wins that game for Alabama against Georgia in the national championship game. And then you go a couple of seasons later, DeVonta Smith with just that incredible Heisman campaign that season. This one was against LSU. You see all the empty seats in the stadium right there for LSU. Well, that's because Alabama was dominating that game. And this picture right here also turned into a future Daniel Moore painting. So when you talk about DeVonta Smith, man, he was just incredible for Alabama in that season that he won the, Heisman for Alabama. You go to that national championship game. He was absolutely ridiculous. All of this in the first half of that game because he ended up getting an injury there late in the first half, I believe it was. Might have been early second half, but either way, all these stats were from the first half. 12 receptions, over 200 yards, 3 touchdowns for DeVonta Smith. I am so happy for both of these guys. And DeVonta Smith also has become now the 5th player to win the Haisman Trophy, the national championship, and a Super Bowl in his career. So, just an incredible season, career here for DeVonta Smith and Jalen Hurts. I cannot be any more happy for these guys. So if you guys are also happy for all these Alabama players who have gone on to have some success in the NFL, especially these guys that just won the Super Bowl, get down and like today's video for me right now if you guys are happy for those guys, previous Alabama players. Now, the redemption arc for Jalen Hurts is really just something that any Hollywood scriptwriter just could not fathom. They could not wrap their brains around what Jalen Hurts has had to go through throughout his career. Let's kind of go back to his college days here. You start off, he was 26-2 as a starting quarterback for Alabama. He left in the 2017 national championship game against Clemson. He left that game with the lead with about a minute and a half left, but we all know what Deshaun Watson in college anyways used to do. That's kind of the reason. Jalen Hurts was not the reason why Alabama ended up losing that game. He left the game with the lead. It's absolutely incredible. And then you go to the next season as well. He got benched for Tua in the 2018 national championship game. And then the following year, everybody kind of knew, yeah, sure, it was going to be a quote-unquote quarterback battle. But, pretty much everybody knew Tua was probably going to be the starter there. And Jalen Hurts decided, hey, I'm going to stay, I'm going to compete, and I'm going to be that backup for Tua if that's what I have to do. And, when my time is called upon, I will be there. He even burned a redshirt season in that 2018 season that he ended up sticking around with Alabama. And then Tua did end up getting hurt in that SEC championship game. Jalen Hurts had to come in and win the SEC championship game for Alabama. Then the following season, he transfers to Oklahoma, is a Haisman Trophy finalist, and man, that is just the path for Jalen Hurts has just been absolutely incredible. He was drafted really as Carson Wentz's backup, goes on to play in the Super Bowl a couple of seasons ago, loses that Super Bowl, and then last season started off phenomenal. And then about week 10, week 11, somewhere around there, they really did just hit a wall. And then, you go to this season now, you end up fending off the Kansas City Chiefs in their hopes to go into a three-peat, and they just, absolutely dominated that game. And I do want to try to make this little bit of a connection here between Jalen Hurts and Jalen Milroe. I held out a lot of hope for a long time that Jalen Milroe could really, see that path and go down that same path of progression that Jalen Hurts did. It wasn't really pretty all the time with Jalen Hurts, but at the end of the day, he was a winner at heart, and he got the job done. Jalen Milroe got you to the semifinals last year. You end up losing to the eventual national champions in overtime as well in Michigan. And really the optimist in me, really remembered all the criticism that we heard about Jalen Hurts as well. And, honestly, I thought maybe Jalen Milroe could follow that same type of path of progression and development. But look, unfortunately, it just did not work out for Jalen Milroe at Alabama. And look, I hope that he can follow, maybe not that same exact path, because the path for Jalen Hurts has just been absolutely insane. But that same kind of competitive mindset that Jalen Hurts has taken in his career, I really do hope Jalen Milroe is able to do that as well. And Jalen Hurts, man, it's just been incredible. Every single season, it seems like, from his freshman season at Alabama to where he's at now as a starter and now Super Bowl champion and MVP for the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, man, he's just gotten better and better and better every single season, and I'm just so happy for him, man. This is just incredible. He embodies everything that you want in a football player and everything that you could really want to be as a person as well. He's super humble. He's a fantastic leader, and he literally always says the correct things when it comes to the media. His 30 for 30 is going to be absolutely incredible. I cannot wait to watch that once his career ends up, evolving and going down that path. And I just cannot express how happy I am for both Jalen Hurts, DeVonta Smith and those guys as well. Just an incredible run for those guys. We're also going to talk some Alabama hoops here on today's show. I know we normally don't talk Alabama basketball, but with football kind of, going into some dead, all we pretty much have right now is some recruiting stuff going on. So we're going to talk some hoops on today's show. College Game Day is now going to be visiting Tuscaloosa coming up this Saturday for Alabama versus Auburn. It's going to be a 1 versus 2 matchup, which is just absolutely insane. Both Alabama and Auburn are 1 and 2 right now in college basketball. This is the first time College Game Day has had a 1 versus 2 matchup since Tennessee versus Memphis back in 2008. Alabama, went into this past weekend ranked at that number 3 spot. Auburn was 1. They ended up losing to Florida, but they stayed at that number 1 spot in the AP poll. Duke ended up losing to Clemson. They dropped down a couple spots as well. Alabama now goes up to that number 2 spot overall in the latest AP rankings there. Alabama also does have to play Texas on Tuesday, so still have to take care of business there. Auburn also goes on the road to take on Vanderbilt on Tuesday as well. So let me know here in the comment section, should we go live for SEC tournament games this year? Type Y for yes or N for no in the comment section of today's show. If you guys really want this to happen, you really got to make a dent in the comment section there. I think between spamming your RTRs for those guys that won the Super Bowl and also spamming your Ys here, we should be able to get at least 200 comments on today's video. So if you do spam those Ys in the comments as many times as you possibly can, so I can convince the bosses that this is actually a good idea. Look, Alabama right now, both of these teams, Alabama and Auburn, are both, tied for first, basically, in the SEC at 9-1 overall. Auburn right now, 21-2 overall. Alabama is 20-3 overall. Both their SEC records are both 9 and 1. And really the SEC standings right now, Alabama, Auburn, both, you see them right there. Number 1, number 2. You also have Florida at number 3. They've been incredible this season as well. Texas A&M at 4, Tennessee at 5. Ole Miss at 6, Missouri at 7, Mississippi State at 8, Vanderbilt at 9, and Kentucky at 10 as well. Man, the SEC has been absolutely phenomenal this season in basketball, and there is a legitimate chance that you could have 10 to 13-ish teams get into the NCAA tournament. It's going to be absolutely insane. Now, I really just want to give a shout-out to Nate Oats. What he has done here at Alabama has been absolutely incredible. They've been recruiting at a high level. They hit the transfer portal at an extremely high level. You look to last season's team, to this season's team, you brought a couple guys back, but you also added guys like Clifford Amore, Aiden Holloway in the transfer portal. Those guys have been absolutely massive for Alabama basketball this season. And just the way their play style is, it's extremely fun to watch. He's been pumping guys out into the NBA as well. And look, one of the biggest things for any coach in any sport is getting buy-in from your guys. And I think you really do see that from this team and Nate Oats and just kind of the way he is. And honestly, to me, it's pretty funny to see a guy from the Northeast come down south, really just embrace the culture, and everybody absolutely loves his personality. He's just a hard-nosed coach that goes to battle for his players as well. He was asked after Alabama's game against Arkansas this weekend. Auburn lost. They were ranked number 1. And then Duke was ranked number 2. They also lost. And, he was asked, hey, should Alabama be ranked number 1 now? And he said, I really don't care. And that really, to me, is, reminiscent of something that, like a Nick Saban would say in a press conference as well. So I absolutely love Nate Oats, and we are very, very lucky to have Nate Oats as Alabama's coach right now. And really what he's done so far, man, he is probably up there as one of the best coaches, if not the best right now in Alabama basketball history. You look right here to this tweet, just kind of what Nate Oats has done throughout his career here at Alabama. This dude, Rico Bosco, he's from Barstool Sports. He just talks about Alabama basketball a lot. He's a big fan of Alabama basketball. He said the Crimson Tide have made the NCAA tournament 5+ years in a row, only 2 times. Nate Oats is currently on the precipice of becoming the 3rd time now. And he also talked about the seeding when those things happen. You look at the first time there, the 4 seed, the 6 seed, the 9 seed, the 7, the 5, the 2. The second time it happened, you had the 2 seed, the 10 seed, the 8, the 5, and the 10. So you're kind of, you had a couple years where you were the 2 seed, but for the most part, you were kind of right there in the middle of the pack. What Nate Oats has done in the last 4 seasons here at Alabama, the 2 seed, the 6 seed, the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament, the 4 seed last year, you end up going to the Final Four last year as well. And right now, man, as good as they're playing, Alabama is on track to be either the number 1 seed or a number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. But you look to what they have down the road on their schedule. Like I said, you go to Texas on Tuesday. Texas not the best team this year in the SEC, but still, going on the road in the SEC is going to be a tough place to play no matter where you're at. And then you have number 1 Auburn. You go to number 21 Missouri. You play Kentucky, number 15 at home. You've got Mississippi State, number 22 as well. Number 5 Tennessee, number 3 Florida, and then you play Auburn one more time on the road. There is a legitimate chance that Alabama could go into that game number 1 versus number 2 yet again, and that could be a very good possibility that game could, be the winner of the SEC championship, regular season SEC championship in the last weekend of the season. So that would be absolutely incredible if we could get down to the last weekend of the college basketball season. You got Alabama number 1, Auburn number 2, or whatever it's going to end up being there, as long as they take care of business there. Winner take all for the regular season SEC championship. That would be just a very, very fun time, especially here, because Alabama basketball, throughout history has not been the best, but man, since Nate Oats has been here, it has been just one of the most fun things to watch, in my opinion. So let me know here in the comments section, who do you guys think will win the regular season SEC championship? Type C if you think it's going to be the Crimson Tide. Type T if you think it's going to be the Auburn Tigers. Or do you think somebody else sneaks into that number one spot? You can go ahead and type O for other in the comments section of today's show.